They turned their backs on you. They doubted you, misunderstood you, maybe even disrespected you. You felt it deep, that sting when people walk away, when your efforts go unseen, when your voice feels wasted. But here's the brutal truth. The more you chase, the more power you give away. The more you explain, the more you dilute your presence. The world doesn't reward the loudest voice. It respects the one who can walk away in silence and build quietly. You don't rise by begging to be heard. You rise by refusing to need validation. You see, silence isn't weakness. It's calculation. It's awareness. When you choose silence over reaction, you force the world to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you know. That mystery becomes power. That restraint becomes dominance. While others argue, defend, and exhaust themselves trying to prove a point, the silent one is observing, learning, sharpening their edge. They're focused not on being understood, but on becoming undeniable. In a world addicted to attention, the rarest form of strength is not needing any. When they expect you to chase, don't. When they expect you to explain, say nothing. That's when you become unpredictable. And the one who can't be predicted can't be controlled. That's how power shifts. The people who try to pull you into arguments, explanations, emotional battles, they feed off your reaction. Don't give them that. The moment you stop trying to be liked, stop trying to fit in, stop trying to prove your worth, you become dangerous. Because now your energy is no longer scattered. It's focused. And focused energy changes everything. You rise in silence by redirecting that emotional energy into progress. While they gossip, you build. While they post, you grind. While they distract themselves with noise, you're stacking quiet victories. And when you finally show up, not with words, but with results, no one can ignore it. They'll try to pull you back. They'll question your silence, accuse you of arrogance, coldness, distance. Let them. You owe no explanation to those who only valued you when you made yourself small. They don't need to understand your path. It wasn't made for them. Most people won't get why you stopped calling, stopped explaining, stopped chasing. They'll mistake it for bitterness. But it's clarity. It's self-respect. It's growth. You no longer beg to be seen. You're too busy becoming someone who cannot be overlooked. The real flex? It's not clapping back. It's not giving them the speech they expect. It's not even revenge. It's becoming so focused, so disciplined, so locked into your mission, that their opinions lose all relevance. Silence makes you the storm they didn't see coming. So when you feel that urge to explain yourself, stop. When you feel like chasing someone who's walking away, pause. Ask yourself, is this really who I want to be? Or am I giving away power I've worked too hard to build? You are not here to convince anyone of your worth. You're here to become so powerful, so unshakable, that your presence says what your words never could. Some of your greatest achievements will be born in moments when you said nothing and just worked. Some of your biggest breakthroughs will happen the moment you stop needing people to understand you. Your peace will come from walking away, not with anger, but with purpose. You walk away not to prove a point, but to protect your peace. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your power. The more silent you become, the louder your results speak. And the truth is, most people don't need a response. They need to see who you become without them. That's the real answer. That's the real message. They thought you disappeared. They thought you gave up. But all along, you were rebuilding. Silently. Patiently. Relentlessly. Not for them, for you. Because the strongest version of you was never going to emerge in the noise. It was going to rise in the quiet. In the discipline. In the daily grind that no one applauds. The world might overlook you when you're silent. Let them. Silence is often misjudged. But those who understand the weight of it know it's not emptiness, it's control. It's choosing to act instead of react, to build instead of beg, to rise instead of reaching back for people who already showed you they're not coming with you. Growth is lonely. Silence is misunderstood. But these are the exact ingredients that turn you into something rare, something unbreakable. When you no longer respond to disrespect, when you no longer chase people who don't value your presence, when you stop explaining your every move, you begin to build a life on your own terms. A life that doesn't need permission or applause. There's a shift that happens the moment you embrace this mindset. You stop looking over your shoulder. You stop wondering who's watching. You stop seeking closure from those who don't deserve access to you anymore. You realize that your energy is sacred, and silence becomes your boundary. You don't owe anyone closure. You don't owe anyone your time, your voice, or your vulnerability. Especially not those who only came around when it was convenient for them. Let them wonder. Let them think what they want. You're not in the business of managing anyone's perception anymore. You're in the business of becoming undeniable. And when you finally emerge, stronger, calmer, more focused than ever, they won't recognize you. Because you won't be the same. You'll be the version of yourself that was born in silence. The version that doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't beg, just rises, quietly, relentlessly, unshakably. You'll rise with eyes sharper, purpose clearer, and energy cleaner. No more wasted words. No more proving your worth to people who never had the depth to see it. Your silence has taught you everything noise never could: patience, control, resilience. And now, every step you take is intentional. You no longer react to pressure. You respond with presence. You no longer fear being misunderstood. You've learned to let your work speak in volumes your words never could. And while they scramble for attention, addicted to validation, you're mastering the art of detachment. That's your edge. That's the difference. You no longer need them to clap, because you're not performing. You're building. Silently. Strategically. With a level of discipline that's invisible until it's undeniable. Most people want quick recognition. You want quiet transformation. Most want to be seen. You want to be effective. Most need to be heard. You just need results. And that's why you'll win, not loudly, not dramatically, but with consistency so ruthless it rewrites your future. Every ignored insult, every unanswered message, every moment you chose growth over reaction, it all adds up. You're not just staying silent. You're stacking discipline. You're sharpening your focus. You're crafting a foundation that no one can shake, because it was built in solitude, not validation. That's how leaders are made. Not by talking, not by chasing, but by enduring. And most of all, by staying silent long enough to let your success do the shouting. Let them underestimate you. Let them misread you. Let them walk away. Your comeback isn't going to be loud. It's going to be undeniable. Because silence isn't the absence of power. It's the control of it. And when the moment comes, when the world finally sees what you've been building in the dark, they won't know what hit them. But you will. Because you built it. Quietly. Relentlessly. Alone. You built it without applause. Without support. Without needing to be seen. You built it when no one believed in you, when they walked away, when the room went quiet. And that silence, that heavy echoing silence, they thought it would break you. But instead, it became your training ground. Your forge. Your sanctuary. In silence, you faced yourself. The raw, unfiltered version. No distractions, no noise, just you and the truth. You realized that chasing others was a form of self-abandonment. That explaining yourself was trying to convince people who already decided not to understand you. And that begging for love, loyalty, or recognition would never bring you peace. So you stopped. Not because you gave up, but because you woke up. You woke up to your worth, to your power, to the fact that not everyone deserves your presence, and fewer deserve your energy. So you withdrew. You detached. And you grew in ways that can't be measured by followers, likes, or approval. You started making moves in silence. Not out of fear, but out of strength. You chose to become so solid, so grounded, that no insult could shake you, no absence could break you, no lie could define you. You became someone who doesn't flinch when others leave, because you know you never needed them to begin with. And the day will come when they look for you, not because they miss you, but because they can't ignore you. Your silence will haunt them louder than your words ever did. Your growth will confront them in ways your arguments never could. You didn't have to win them back. You outgrew the game entirely. You're no longer fighting to be heard. You're working to be effective. You're no longer begging to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And that decision, to rise in silence, to walk away from noise, to build without applause, that's what makes you unstoppable. Because you've realized the truth. Silence is not just the absence of sound. It's the presence of power. It's the discipline to stay grounded while others lose control. It's the wisdom to conserve energy for what actually matters. And it's the confidence to let your results, your peace, and your presence speak for you. You no longer waste energy on proving, chasing, or convincing. You've shifted your focus inward, toward mastery, clarity, and purpose. That's the silent revolution. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. But it's the most powerful transformation you'll ever go through. When others lash out, you remain calm. When they try to provoke a response, you offer none. Because you've finally understood, their chaos isn't your responsibility. Their confusion isn't your burden. You don't owe anyone the version of yourself they expect. You owe yourself the version you're becoming. The one who operates from discipline, not emotion. From vision, not insecurity. And now, your silence protects everything you're building. It shields your peace. It defends your energy. Because you've tasted the cost of being too open, too available, too eager to please. Never again. Now you move with intention. Quiet. Focused. Detached. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Because not everyone gets access to you, and not everyone deserves a front row seat to your evolution. They'll wonder how you stayed so composed. How you got so far without making noise. They won't understand it. But that's the point. The deeper your silence, the more unsettling it becomes. Because silence is untrackable. It can't be predicted, it can't be measured, and it can't be manipulated. That makes you dangerous. That makes you free. And when you walk into a room, you won't have to say a word. Your presence will speak. It'll say, I didn't chase. I didn't explain. I didn't beg. I just kept rising, one quiet day at a time. While they underestimated me, I was preparing. While they talked, I was moving. And now that I'm here, I'm not asking for permission. I'm taking up space. Fully. Calmly. Unapologetically. Keep building in silence. Keep rising without noise. The world may not see you now. But when it does, it won't be able to look away. Because by then, you won't be the same person they left, doubted, or overlooked. You'll be refined. Sharpened. Forged in solitude. And that version of you won't need validation, explanations, or approval. You'll walk differently. Speak differently. Carry yourself with the weight of someone who earned their peace the hard way. They'll say you changed. They're right. You evolved. You stopped watering dead plants. You stopped feeding shallow connections. You stopped pouring your soul into people who only showed up to take. And in that silence, you found a truth most never reach, that your worth isn't determined by how loud you are, how much you give, or how many people like you. It's rooted in how well you protect your energy, your mission, your mind. The world has enough noise. Be different. Be the one who moves with purpose, not panic. Who speaks with clarity, not desperation. Who acts without the need for eyes watching or mouths clapping. Because true strength isn't proved in public, it's built in private. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them wonder. While they're distracted by attention, you'll be guided by intention. And intention always outlasts noise. Every silent day is a deposit into your future self. Every time you choose restraint over reaction, you're expanding your power. Every time you stay silent, not because you're weak but because you're focused, you're rising. Quietly. Powerfully. Unstoppably. So when you feel tempted to explain your journey, remind yourself, explanations are for those walking behind you, trying to catch up. You've already moved on. You've already risen. And you're just getting started. And the higher you rise, the quieter you'll become. Not because you have less to say, but because you finally understand that most people aren't ready to hear it. They wouldn't understand the sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the inner battles. They wouldn't understand the strength it takes to walk away when your heart wants to stay. They don't see the chapters you wrote in silence. But that's fine. You didn't write them for applause. You wrote them for survival. You learned to sit with the discomfort, to stay calm when the world pushed you to react, to rebuild from nothing with nothing but discipline and faith. That kind of strength doesn't need a stage. It just needs time. And time, you've given it. In patience. In silence. In full. Now every step forward is proof. Not of revenge, not of ego, but of growth. Of transformation. You're not trying to make noise anymore. You're becoming the force that others can't ignore. A presence that doesn't have to speak to be felt. A life that inspires, not because of the words attached to it, but because of the energy behind it. The truth is, when you stop explaining, people are forced to look at their own behavior. When you stop chasing, they're left to face the void they created. And when you choose to rise in silence, you create a distance that can't be filled with assumptions or noise. It's a message they'll feel, even if you never send it. Let the silence be your response. Let your progress be your language. Let your consistency speak louder than any argument ever could. This isn't just a phase, it's a new way of living. A new way of commanding space without asking for it. Of walking in rooms with quiet certainty, knowing that nothing anyone says can touch what you've built within. Let the silence be your response. Let your progress be your language. Let your consistency speak louder than any argument ever could. This isn't just a phase, it's a new way of living. A new way of commanding space without asking for it. Of walking in rooms with quiet certainty, knowing that nothing anyone says can touch what you've built within. Because you've become something different now. Not cold, not distant, just untouchable. You finally know who you are, and you no longer need to prove it. The world will feel your presence not when you shout, but when you simply arrive, and everything changes. Because that's the moment power shifts. When you walk in, calm and focused, without saying a word, and suddenly, the room adjusts to you. Not because you demanded it, but because your energy made it impossible to ignore you. That's the result of the silence you've kept. The self-control you've mastered. The emotions you've harnessed instead of scattered. You're no longer moved by chaos. You've seen what it costs to live for others, to seek approval, to be constantly explaining yourself just to be understood by those not willing to listen in the first place. That life, it's behind you now. You don't chase love, opportunities, or people. You attract them by becoming the kind of person that no longer needs them to survive. You've become centered. You've learned that silence isn't the absence of communication. It's the highest form of it. Because silence doesn't beg. It doesn't persuade. It simply stands. And when you stand silently, powerfully, the world has no choice but to listen. People will return, not because you chased, but because your silence echoed longer than their noise. They'll come back with questions, with apologies, with confusion. Don't explain. You've already moved on. You don't owe answers to those who didn't value your presence when they had it. You owe your time, your energy, and your clarity to what you're building now, not what you left behind. Let them learn through your distance. Let them see what it means to lose access to someone who used to give freely. You're no longer in the business of overextending. You've graduated from proving your worth. Now, your life speaks for itself. And as you keep rising, silently and relentlessly, remember, some of your most powerful moves will be the ones no one sees coming. No announcements. No noise. Just execution. One day, you'll wake up in the life you used to dream of, and no one will know how you got there. That's the reward of the silent path. And when you get there, when you arrive at that life you built in the shadows, you won't need to announce it. You'll just live it. Quietly. Fully. With the kind of peace that comes from knowing you didn't compromise who you are to become who you were meant to be. You'll look back at everything you walked away from, the arguments you didn't engage in, the people you didn't chase, the explanations you never gave, and you'll realize that every silent step was a step toward freedom. Because silence doesn't just protect your energy. It preserves your dignity. And when you protect your dignity, you elevate your existence. You're not hiding. You're healing. You're not ignoring. You're evolving. And that evolution will make noise all on its own, not through words, but through presence. Through results. Through a life that cannot be denied. The world trains you to speak, to argue, to defend, to respond. But the ones who rise highest are often the ones who learn the rarest art of all, when to say nothing, when to let the silence speak. And when you master that art, you stop wasting your voice on people who were never listening. You stop bleeding energy into conversations that only drain you. You stop playing small just to make others comfortable. Because silence, real silence, is not emptiness. It's precision. It's intention. It's a boundary. And in a world full of noise, the man or woman who can hold their silence is the one who holds the most power. So keep building in the dark. Keep growing without updates. Keep succeeding without announcements. Because when the time comes for you to be seen, the world won't just notice. It'll feel the difference. Not just in what you say, but in everything you chose not to say. You are not here to be loud. You are here to be legendary. Quietly. Deliberately. Unforgettably.